There's a game that's caught my attention recently. This game is called Trepang 2. What caught my attention with this game was its graphic depiction of modern combat with the promise of an action-filled horror storyline. After playing through the demo and the official game, I can say that this game has made good on its promise. The story offered in this game introduces the player to a powerful, numerous, and resourceful adversary. Over the course of the story, more details unravel, showing more disturbing truths between the factions in conflict. This plot has furthered my interest in the game. Because of this, I intend on uploading videos where I showcase as much of the lore of the game as I can through both the intel documents and details found in each level of the game. The best way I can think to start this story breakdown is to start on the game's first level, Site 14. As the level starts, the main character, being you or Subject 106, finds himself seated in a wheelchair watching a series of generic scenery videos. Not long into this programming, a gunshot rings out from behind that disables and partially shatters the screen. When they turn around to discover who did this, they find a man dressed in Arctic attire, wielding a handgun. As soon as Windows 6 sees this man, he takes off, leaving the subject alone in his freshly sprung cell. Left alone in the cell, you gain control of the main character and are allowed to move throughout the environment. With this freedom of movement, you can now progress through the level, but also pick up clues along the way. Clues that will unveil the nature of your character's location and the parties involved. In the starting location, I found 2 clues, the first being a Serenity intel document the player starts with, the second being a radio along with a pair of gloves laying on the floor just past Subject 106's vault door. The intel document already existing in the player's inventory at the start of the game hints that Subject 106 was given this document while in the custody of Site 14. It is likely they gave him this in hopes of getting him to cease hostility and comply with the facility personnel. The Serenity intel document reads out Horizon's brainwashing motto. The document reads, erase your light, take your flight, to a place where you'll be remembered, to a place where you'll be loved. When I break this down, I get the following. Erase your light means to let go of your past self. Take your flight ushers you into your next life, to a place where you'll be remembered, guides you to find others who'll be significantly aided by your actions, to a place where you'll be loved, further guides you not just to those who you can help, but those who would appreciate your help. Altogether, this phrase is meant to tell someone to leave their old life and find a new one where they will be helpful to others that will appreciate their help. Just past Windows 6 vault door lies a radio with a pair of disposable gloves. It is unknown what these were used for or who they belonged to. Did they belong to the guards? Or were they discarded by the Arctic-dressed man? In the hall, just outside Windows 6's vault, are several short phrases along its walls. These phrases warn, no more than 2 firearms may be present, and keep subject restrained at all times. This further shows the caution the facility staff took when attempting to keep the main character contained. Shame these measures seem to be proving ineffective. Just past the hall, there is a red-lit cage room observed by 4 wall-mounted cameras. Near the staircase leading up to the 2nd floor lies the deceased bodies of 2 deceased security guards. Atop the staircase there are 6 more vaults behind a chain-link fence, with another 3 more on the floor above them. In total, that's 10 vaults in the cage room, with the vault for Windows 6 appearing to have the highest security measures of them all. Past the cage room lies 1 more hall, where more vaults can be seen. 6 more vaults are spread throughout the hall of the bottom floor, while another 8 line the upper floor. There appear to be no guards in this exact hall. Across an open door, near the end of this hall, 1 more deceased security guard is found. It is unknown if he was with the vault security team. If he was, then I'd suspect he could have been the leader of this vault security team, because his body is found behind a computer. In comparison, the other vault security guards were found deceased with the highest tech tool on them, being a radio. Behind this man is an air vent leading to another room. As 106 enters the vent, a pair of handgun-armed men will burst into the hall just across from Windows 6. Soon after, they radio to Site Control that the original vault security is KIA. While 106 emerges from the vent into another office room, they hear the guards' report of their escape from the vault.
Control, vault security is KIA. Subject 106 has escaped.
The scientist's preliminary observation document details the limited tests they could do on Subject 106. The sole reason for the delay in formal testing is because they were still waiting for the proper equipment to arrive. During this time, they observed him break free from steel handcuffs that could hold 1,000 pounds of pressure. Fortunately for them, they were able to restrain Subject 106 with titanium-based handcuffs with a pressure tolerance up to 25,000 pounds of pressure. When attempting to communicate with the subject, the scientists used multiple methods including physical, psychological, and medical interrogation. Unfortunately for the science team, none of these methods got Subject 106 to talk. Through the window of this new office room, 106 can see an additional pair of security guards moving towards the first two from earlier. Allowing them to pass, 106 leaves the office room and turns a couple corners before encountering an elevator.
Around the corner, let's go!
As 106 approaches this elevator, the doorbell rings. Heeding this as a signal of an unknown arrival, they dip into an adjacent hall, hiding behind a shelf stuffed with supplies. 106 waits for the armed men inside the elevator to pass by before continuing their escape. With the elevator door closed and its respective buttons not responding to direct input, 106 passes the elevator and continues through a couple side rooms before encountering two more elevators.
Subject 106 could be anywhere. Watch your backs.
To the side of these elevators, 106 reaches a chain fence where he spots another team of 4 men searching the room below. Departing from the fence, 106 makes his way down the hall. Just as he reaches the middle of the hallway, the light from the elevator in front of him turns on, while the doorbell from the one behind him rings. Expecting hostile company from both points of entry, 106 races over to an adjacent corridor, barely dodging the additional 4-man teams that poured from each of the 2 elevators. Turning a couple more corners, 106 finds an open vent. Crawling inside, he evades the 8-man team searching the area just behind him. While traversing inside this closed space, 106 hears multiple loud cries and shots being fired. The voices that briefly cry out sound similar to the voices of the site's security guards encountered earlier. When emerging from the other side of the open vent, 106 encounters a chain fence with an unlocked door at its center. Inside the room lies numerous toppled furniture and 4 more deceased security guards. When briefly examining the bodies and how they were dispatched, they appear to have been sliced apart. This contrasts from the previous deceased bodies found in the cage room, where the bodies were mostly found intact. At this moment, the nature of their death is unknown. Also located in the security room were 2 documents, one of them being the guard's memo intel document, found on a smartphone lying on a small table, the other being a blank Horizon leave form found on the floor. A grunt's memo shares the distaste one security guard has for the job. He describes his conditions as having poor food to eat, a lack of activities to keep him busy, and excessive security violating his privacy. Additionally, he states that the travel websites are blocked. This would indicate that Site 14 has limited internet access, at least for the low-level staff. On top of these conditions, he shares his resentment towards the science team that gives him orders. He discloses that he will be finishing his contract with the site in 2 weeks. It is unknown if he is under an individual contract or a group contract. If the second is true, then a question comes to mind. Are they being replaced by a new team, or the site shut down? Upon the larger table, accompanied by 9 monitors, rests the supplies Windows 6 will need most to escape this facility. Among these supplies are a handgun with several magazines. To the side of them rests an armored vest and helmet, and most important of all, a key. Acquiring this key, Windows 6 is able to break free from their 25,000-pound pressure-resistant handcuffs, and is now able to equip the armor and weapons recently found. Breaking the lock on another door in the security room, Windows 6 makes their way across a dip between 2 interior cliffs before reaching a hall with a broken steam pipe. Sliding under the blistering vapors, Windows 6 finds another deceased security guard. Next to his body is a smartphone that holds the intel document for Site-14 maintenance. In the Site-14 message log for maintenance, a man by the name of Ross lashes out on another named Adam. Ross tears into Adam for not doing his part and urgently asks that he fixes a number of steam pipes. Further in the log, Ross reminds Adam to bring eye protection, but in the tense that eye protection could be code for something other than traditional eye coverage. After leaving the busted steam pipe behind, Windows 6 heads to the end of the corridor. At the end of this corridor, they find a locked door. Off to the side, Windows 6 notices a railing where a lower floor can be seen just beyond. Taking this new direction forward, Windows 6 leaps onto the lower floor. Scouring the next couple rooms for an escape route, all under the threat of the searching security teams, Windows 6 eventually comes to a flight of stairs that leads into a third open vent. While crawling through this tight space, Windows 6 hears a security guard just below. They hear the security guard identify themselves as Foxtrot, and he tells the security chief that he's currently searching the maintenance tunnel. From this, Windows 6 can piece together that they are currently in the maintenance tunnel.
Control, this is Foxtrot Actual. We're checking the maintenance tunnel now. Check that room.
Falling through an open panel in the vent, Windows 6 lands into a janitorial storage room. Waiting for the guards to split up, Windows 6 carefully sneaks up on each of the guards, quietly dispatching them. With the immediate area clear of dangerous threats, Windows 6 resumes their search for an escape route. Wandering down a side hall, Windows 6 finds another railing leading to a higher floor. Using the nearby crates for height assistance, Windows 6 is able to reach this higher floor. Once atop, he ventures through an open doorway on the left, and here, Windows 6 encounters another 4 armed men.
Your cover! Move it up! I'm on the move!
The first 2 descend down a staircase and search the floor Windows 6 is on, while the other 2 hold overwatch positions from the floor at the top of the staircase. In comparison to the last guards they encountered, some of these men are now carrying automatic weapons. Despite their spread positioning and upgrading weaponry, these are men who are unable to halt Windows 6's advance. As soon as Windows 6 finishes off the last member of this group, they hear an open radio release a brief transmission. The man speaking mentions that he lost signal with Foxtrot team, but reminds that the last known position was in the maintenance tunnel. After hearing this message, Windows 6 proceeds down a hall, where they are met with another bursting pipe. Sliding under its boiling vapors, they continue with their escape. While searching for an exit, Windows 6 hears the same voice speak over the radio once more. He identifies himself as a part of Echo Team and volunteers to search Foxtrot Team's last known position, realizing that these men will be sweeping in the opposite direction of the nearest entry point. 106 continues their search with the new guards in the foresight of their hunt. Turning a couple corners, 106 finds an abandoned shotgun leaning against a crate. Retrieving this weapon for himself, 106 further stocks himself with a neglected armor place and handgun ammo that litters the following room. Finally departing this room, 106 stumbles across a 5-man team. Though these guards arrive with small automatic weapons, they are briefly taken down. Shortly after the last member of this team is dispatched, a voice identifying itself as Echo 1 calls over the radio for Echo 2 multiple times, only to be met with no response. From this, 106 can conclude that they have just neutralized Echo 2.
Watch my back! Move it up! This is Echo 1. What's your status? Over. Echo 2, this is Echo 1. What is your status? Over. Fuck.
Remembering the direction the guards came from, 106 begins heading in that direction. Finding one open doorway after another, 106 eventually hops over a fallen crate before encountering the 4-man team that is likely to be Echo 1. In contrast to the last team 106 encountered, these guards bring a variety of equipment. The first man uses a shield, while another holds a shotgun, and the last two with small automatic weapons. Unfortunately, the diversity in weapons and equipment slowed 106's advance no more than the team that came before them. Resuming their navigation strategy, 106 proceeds through the direction that this team came from.
Cover me! I'm moving up!
Passing through a few open doorways, 106 finds a closed door off to the side of a corridor. Investigating this point of entry, 106 finds the door unlocked. Entering inside, 106 travels the halls, discovering numerous sliced body parts throughout the area. The number of these bodies adds up to 5 deceased security guards. The last of these bodies being found near a staircase leading to a higher floor. Upon reaching the higher floor of this area, an additional 5 butchered bodies can be found. The 5th one being an Arctic-dressed man 106 briefly saw in the beginning of their escape. Slumped over with a sword burrowed in his stomach and piercing out his back, his fatal wound appears to be self-inflicted. After briefly investigating this fallen man, a golden coin falls from their dead grasp onto the frosted floor. Upon examining this coin, 106 finds only 2 letters spelling CV. In Roman numerals, this would translate to 105, C being 100, and V being 5. With no explanation readily available to them, 106 proceeds through a door behind the slain Arctic-dressed man. Past the freezer room, 106 holds still in a dark, empty room as he overhears a nearby conversation unfold. In this exchange of dialogue, one security guard gives instructions to another, only being met with complications. In response to this obstacle, the first security guard dismisses the complication and restates his instruction with an increasingly aggressive tone and vocabulary.
Keep your eyes on those monitors. You could be anywhere. They were trying, but the equipment is all kinds of haywire. Keeps disconnecting on us. Don't bitch at me, you whiny fuck. Just make do with what you got and shut the fuck up.
As soon as the conversation settles into a silence, 106 sweeps the security station along with its adjacent janitorial room of its occupants. After clearing out the occupants, 106 finds a miscellaneous document labeled Horizon Security Log. In the majority of these logs, little to no activity is reported. After examining this document, 106 rearms himself in the storage room to the left, before departing the second security station via the janitorial room to the right. Heading down a hall and a flight of stairs, 106 wanders into a spacious room. Just as they arrive, the radio rings back to life with more security guard communication. the Chief of Security tells the nearby security guards that they need to prevent 106 from advancing any further, and more importantly, deny the escapee access to the elevator. Though these men spread out with overlapping positions of overwatch and carry automatic weapons, they were no more successful in slowing 106's escape.
Subject 106 en route to your position. You need to hold your ground.
Roger that. He's not getting past us. Alright, team. Don't let that motherfucker get in the elevator. We gotta hold our ground. Echo 3, this is 4. We're in the elevator. We're arriving shortly.
As soon as the last man of this team is dispatched, a new voice speaks over the radio. This voice identifies himself as a part of Echo 4 and refers to earlier team as Echo 3. Driven by the wishful hope of saving their colleagues, he shares aloud that his team is descending down the elevator. Heeding this cue, 106 heads to the elevator in the room and patiently waits for the doors to open. Just as soon as the elevator doors open, 106 guns down the team while they attempt to fan out onto the lower floor. Following the prompt neutralization of this reinforcement team, 106 enters the elevator they came from. Using a still functioning interface, 106 orders the elevator to ascend to the next floor above. Waiting for the elevator door to open, 106 hears audible communication from just past its doors. When the doors finally open, 106 is met with a line of 4 shield-wielding men. Initially stunted with a fleeting sense of helplessness, the escapee quickly hatches a plan to overcome their predicament. Turning their focus to one guard on the far side of this line, 106 makes a sudden yet brief sprint and dives into a slide. Impacting the guard's feet with an abnormally high amount of force, 106 is able to send the man flying in the air, and the rest of his team collapsing onto each other in a domino effect. Grabbing the now airborne guard, 106 returns their focus back to the other 3 guards who are still recovering from their fall. Priming a grenade still attached to their acquired guard, 106 throws the guard's helpless body at the recovering teammates. Before any of these 4 men could regain their stance, the grenade goes off, instantly liquidating them.
Watch my 6, I'm moving up! Alright, good luck! Let's go! Take him out! Come on, take cover! He's got a hostage!
Finding a door behind the original position of the team, 106 leaves their splattered remains behind and crosses through the unlocked door. Now wandering a hall with office rooms attached at its sides, 106 hears yet another new voice over the radio. This voice identifies itself as Talon and informs Site-14 personnel that they are on their way.
Site-14, this is Talon. We're on the way.
Early into their search, 106 discovers numerous intelligence records left behind in the abandoned offices. Among these files include the brain transplant proposal, Site-14 message log for budgeting, Operation Bright Star, Sierra 4 mission report, and the 106 memory transplant attempt report. Future plans for Site-14 patients could include a full brain transplant. This was proposed by Dr. Ken Takagachi in regards to Horizon's whole Brain Emulator project. In this proposal, he suggests rewiring the donor's brain to perfectly match the patient. Once matched, the same technology for memory transplant would be used to transfer one whole brain into another. This method would theoretically be cheaper than the current plan to digitally emulate a patient's brain. The old process would require 1 million CPUs and several nuclear reactors per patient. With this new method, the company could avoid those expenses. In the Site-14 message log for budgeting, Dr. Ken, Site-14's research director, berates the site's chief of security, Paul Paulang McLean, on his recent changes to site security. Dr. Ken states that a recent and sudden order for security-related assets has put a backlog on his scientific assets that his team desperately needs to continue their work. Among the items in a recent purchase are additional security personnel, cameras, ID scanners, and laser gates. Because I could not find any laser gates on the site, I believe that the order for security-related assets did not arrive by the time the level takes place. Despite the scientists' cries for losing security around Site-14, a power higher than the research director and chief of security has dispatched a number of their personal Black Ops unit to the location. This power is Anton Lazar, CEO of the worldwide megacorp known as Horizon, and his personal assassins are known as Talon Operatives. Their mission, called Operation Brightstar, is to deny the enemy acquisition of Horizon assets. This will be carried out in the event of an attack on the facility. Talon will give the facility staff 30 minutes to evacuate before they search and terminate any persons found on the premises. Detailed in the CO4 mission report, the team spotted a helicopter flying roughly a kilometer northwest of the facility at 4:15 in the morning. 2 minutes later, they lost visual of the aircraft as it descended into the nearby forest. An hour and 19 minutes later, the team arrived at the helicopter's descension point, only to find it crashed with the personnel inside deceased. Only 14 minutes after this discovery, Operation Brightstar was initiated. The events that take place in this level likely begin between the times of 4:17 and 5:50 in the morning. The science team tried to transplant the memory of 106 into 2 volunteers. The volunteers in question are hospice patients from an end-of-life care facility called Pandora Institute. During these experiments, the first volunteer died before the memory transfer could complete. Because of this, the science team then performed a partial memory transplant upon the second volunteer. Though the second patient survived the memory transplant, the volunteer mentioned something regarding breaking the cycle before violently attacking staff. Unfortunately, this patient was fatally subdued by nearby security guards via multiple gunshot wounds. Following the second failed procedure, Ken requests that the security use non-lethal weapons during future scuffles with patients and test subjects. In the document for security complaint, Dr. Sean Redfield files a grievance with the Chief of Security, Paul McLean, about a recent increase in unscheduled evacuation drills. During these drills, alarms will abruptly sound while guards rush the science team outside and onto the helipad. He states that there's been 4 of these unannounced drills that occurred within this current week, and such interruptions to his team's work will hinder their progress. Soon after collecting these records, 106 encounters a 5-man team. Led by 2 shield-wielding men, this team tries to spread out into the various rooms. Before these men could establish significant spacing among the many rooms, they were intercepted by the very target they intended to hunt. Recognizing the hole these men arrived from, 106 travels in that direction. Soon they find themselves in a large cubicle room, where the guards there quickly take position throughout the spacious environment. Experiencing higher difficulty with these guards, 106's escape progress begins to slow down. Though 106 proceeds through this area slower than the last, the escapee eventually prevails over the guards in this room. Following the firefight, 106 recalls a glimpse of one last neglected document in a nearby conference room. Returning to this room, 106 retrieves a paperwork titled Scientist Briefing. Falsely assured of their own security, the authorities of Site-14 authorized the arrival of an entity that would later prove them wrong. In the Scientist Briefing, Dr. Ken Takagachi briefs the scientists on the arrival of a new test subject. This entity, called Subject 106, will arrive at Site-14's loading bay at 4 p.m. He describes this being as being capable of turning invisible and able to dodge bullets. Despite having such powers, Dr. Ken assures the scientists of their safety with an escort of armed guards while they make their preliminary observations. In addition to the overwhelming amount of official intelligence documents lying around, Many copies of strange miscellaneous documents can be found all throughout the office rooms. These documents make multiple references to a Subject 8 and a project called KX Ultra. The document seems to have been drafted on June 9th of 1953. The paper states its purpose is to continue Site-14's research into the field of LSD. Though LSD is not defined, the biochemical, neuropsychological, sociological, and clinical psychiatric aspects of it are researched. A hospice facility known as Pandora Institute will serve as a cover for this project. This company will fund Site-14 $39,500 in the disguise of a philanthropic grant for medical research. The planned budget for this plan is expected to not exceed $40,290 by September 11th of 1954. The author of this is listed as an anonymous person from the Chemical Division. Overwhelmed with the seemingly vast amounts of scattered information, 106 collects himself once more before resuming their escape. Entering a small supply room, 106 rearms himself with the neglected armor plates and ammo left behind. Once satisfied with the resources they could collect, 106 passes through the door on the other side, leading them to a railing and shadow-covered boiler room below. Moving forward with this direction, 106 sleeps down into the dark boiler room where they soon encounter Talon. Flooding in from multiple entry points, the 6-man team attempts to hunt down the escapee with their night vision goggles and silenced automatic weaponry. To their dismay, this would still prove insufficient in pacifying 106.
You're covered. On the move.
After dispatching the 6-man team, 106 probes around the dark room until finding an open door. Though several shelves lay toppled in front and behind the door, there still exists enough space for the escapee to squeeze through. Maneuvering over the obstacles, 106 journeys through a spacious corridor where at its end they find a drone hovering between a metal fence and a metal sliding door. Upon interacting with this drone, the machine uploads the memory from 106 onto its own server, titling it as Subject 105 Termination. Below this notification, a message reads, "The cycle begins again. Capture means you'll be forced to complete your original mission." Spending a moment in reflection, 106 contemplates the identity of Subject 105. The number 105 reminds him of the gold coin dropped by the Arctic-dressed man. The gold coin read CV. CV is the Roman numerals for 105. With these matching details, 106 identifies Subject 105 as the Arctic-dressed man. In regards to the message for 106, the mentioning of a new cycle hints that something has happened before, and that something is now happening again. The vague warning about capture warns 106 that apprehension will lead to their forced cooperation with their original mission. This warning implies that 106's origin may be with the very people they are in progress of escaping from. Digesting this information and theories, 106 disengages from the drone. As the drone departs from view, it pulls up a thin metal door. Seeing this newly opened path, 106 places their trust in the drone and proceeds down this direction. Following a brief journey down a narrow corridor, 106 climbs a flight of stairs and passes through a pale white door. Past the door, 106 finds himself in a large, spacious room. Along the walls of this area, numerous elevators line the room's perimeter. In the middle of this room lies a lower floor filled with various crates and supplies. Shortly into 106's search of the area, an intercom sounds to life with the site security chief as its voice. He alerts remaining security guards that the escapee is in the loading bay. After this, he swiftly dispatches his first team into the room. He refers to this team as Sierra 1. This team of 4 men descend via one elevator off to the corner and on the opposing side of 106's initial entry point, beginning their hunt with small to medium automatic weapons. These men spread out in search of 106, only to be swiftly hunted down by their prey. 106 neutralize the last man of this team, the security chief desperately attempts to hail the fallen men in the vain hope that some of them may still be alive. Following his second attempt at reaching them, he hastily sends in another team called Sierra 2. Dispersing from the next 2 elevators over, 5 men pour into the room. Outfitted with heavier armor, these men make use of shields and shotguns in addition to their automatic weapons. Though these men slow the escapee's slaughter, the team's combined might was not enough to contain 106.
Watch out, it's 106! Hold your fucking
After the last man of this team is dispatched, the security chief cries out for them, inquiring as to what is going on. Fueled with panic, the security guard scrambles the third team, Sierra 3, entering the room from 2 elevators on the wall 106 originally arrived from. This 5-man team brings 1 shotgun on the horizon guard, along with 4 Talon operatives. Stepping forth, the mixed 5-man team rushes out in search of the rampaging escapee. Despite their swift deployment into the area, they are just as quickly slain by their target.
Sierra 2, what the fuck is going on in there? Sierra 3, engage!
Watch my back. Affirmative, move it.
Subject 106.
Stunted by the scene of this continued slaughter, the team leader for Sierra 4 gets on an intercom, nervously stating that the previous team is fully wiped. He then asks for advice from the security chief, only being met with the abrupt command to storm the room. Hesitant, the 6-man team exit the elevators from the side wall, only to hold their ground just a few feet past. Noticing the opportunity created by their line positioning in close proximity to each other, 106 swoops in from the side. Making use of both weapons on hand, the escapee is able to sweep through the 6 men before they could coherently react. After the last man of this team falls, the intercom comes to life once more. The chief of security despairingly asks his nearby co-workers if there are any other teams remaining in the area. With a regretful tone, one of them answers that they're the only personnel left in the facility. Commanding with now a hint of fear in his voice, the security chief orders his nearby accomplices to accompany him while he tries to stop 106 from escaping the loading bay. Bursting through a door on the wall with no elevators, an 8-man team tries to flood into the room. Consisting of armored guards, Talon operatives, a Juggernaut, and the chief of security himself, this team sets out to finally put a stop to the escapee's rampage. Before the entirety of these men can flood through the door, 106 intercepts them. Through their first volley of fire, the escapee is able to dispatch the majority of this team, the Juggernaut being the exception, stunted by the sudden barrage of unexpected gunfire. Before the survivor could regain their cohesion, 106 reloads a couple of rounds into their firearm before finishing off the lone Juggernaut. Following the path the security chief's team came from, 106 watches a pair of large doors open before him. A team of blue light and VG wearing soldiers greet the escapee. These men assure 106 that they are friendly and ask him to get into the nearby helicopter. For the first time since they had begun their escape, 106 found someone that cares for them, a family that will accept them into their own where the previous one had locked them away and tried to hunt them down after trying to escape. In their escape from Site 14, 106 found 119 Horizon personnel. From the 119 personnel, 101 of them were standard Horizon security guards, while 16 of them were Talon operatives. Additionally, 106 encountered a Juggernaut and the Chief of Security, all of which were either found deceased or slain by 106. In total, that's 119 Horizon personnel taken out of action. Eager to head to their new home, 106 boards a helicopter. While the aircraft takes off, the escapee watches the blue-lit soldiers enter the building. Finally closing the door, 106 nestles himself into one of the seats as the helicopter brings them to their new home.
Alpha 3, watch for friendly fire. 106 is approaching the helipad. Make sure he extracts safely. Friendlies, hold your fire. Get inside the chopper, 106. We're gonna get you out of here.
This is Raven. We're out of here.
This is Alpha 3, moving into the compound.
Before closing this video, I would like to share a few ideas that would improve this level even more. In the classic demo for Trepang 2, Horizon guards can be heard executing escapees. If this could be re-added into the level, then I think it would add additional tension to the beginning of the game. To add even more tension into the level, I suggest having the guards gun down the other escapees on the upper floors of the cage room and sequential hallway. In regards to Subject 105 or the Arctic Dressed Man, I'd like to suggest having him arm and guide 106 for a brief time before having him killed off by Horizon Security. This would make the enemy seem more formidable, as well as provide further motivation for the player to slay the facility guards. In several intelligence documents, and Dr. Ten Takagachi is mentioned. It'd be nice to see him added as an HVT, but a good place to spawn him would be in the office rooms right before the player encounters Talon operatives for the first time. In the missed document for Subject 8, a flawed plan for the whole Brain Emulator project is described. The flaw in this plan is to upload the recipient's mind into the body of a hospice patient. Hospice patients by definition are people that are close to death. This would give little to no life extension for the recipient. Alternatively, having a donor be someone who is still fit and healthy would provide a sustainable body for the recipient to inhabit. An example of such a candidate could be death row inmates. And that's about it for my suggestions on this level. Thank you for watching. This video's taken a lot more time and work than I originally anticipated. The creation of this video culminated from 35 PowerPoints worth of notes taken on Google Slides, 15 pages of script written on Notepad, and over 19 hours of recording. I am proud to finally get this video out. If you'd like to see more Trepang 2 lore videos, please consider supporting me on Patreon. If I could gain a living off these videos, then I'd be happy to make more videos like this. Until then, I hope you enjoyed this lore video for Trepang 2's Site 14. Have a good one.